outing myself as a liberal. Hello, I'm Rachel, and welcome back to Let Me in the Library. This is an intro that I guess I don't make a lot on my channel. I'm going to try to be better about that and not shake this tripod so much. Angela from Literature Science Alliance tagged me to do the stay-at-home book tag, and because I guess primarily a lot of my videos have been outside so far, I decided to stay inside for this tag because we're being thematic. Angela tagged me. I started out just watching her videos and being like, wow, this is so great, and I love all this content, and she has this really cool series where she talks about the science behind the magic that I think is really awesome. It's really cool to become friends with her, and now I'm tagged, so I'm going to do this tag. The first prompt is laying in bed, a book you could have read in a day. I usually read a lot of my books in a day because they're audiobooks and I listen to them on double speed while I'm at work, but let me see, a book I could read in a day. I could definitely read a manga in a day because they're usually really easy to just blow through and get into the story. If you hit me with a series of unfortunate event book and you leave me alone, I'm gonna definitely read this in a day, no problem. If you've not seen my BookTube newbie tag, I love A Series of Unfortunate Events very much. I love Lemony Snicket very much, and I really love the way that this flows. I think it's very unique and it's really hard to put down for me. Sometimes there are also things that sort of like hit you in the middle of reading that you just don't expect. I don't remember exactly what book it was in, but Lemony Snicket is describing how dark something is, and you open up the next page and it's just totally inked out, total black. And they're all pretty short. I think you can see probably an average length for the books. This one's 259 pages. I think if this was a different book and I picked it up, I'd be like, 259 pages? I don't know about that. Like, I could read it in a day, but will I? And this, I definitely will. Wow, I really want to reread these again. I love these so much. Okay, the next question, the next prompt is snacking, a guilty pleasure book. A lot of other people are saying, I don't like the term guilty pleasure because a guilty pleasure implies that if you read something and you enjoy it, that you should feel guilty about it. And they've said, I don't think you should feel guilty about anything that you enjoy reading, which is a nice sentiment. But I personally definitely feel guilty about some things that I enjoy because they're not good. I like trash sometimes. Usually my main form of trash consumption is domestic thrillers. Like some aspects about them may be bad, but I also kind of really enjoy reading them because they're so bad, because then I have something to yell about later. So I mean, I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure. I think that's just like a bad decision kind of book. Guilty pleasure, guilty pleasure. You know what? Probably like manga, because I think there's a stigma attached to it that I'm really happy I don't really see on BookTube, but there was always a stigma attached to manga that's like, manga is just ninjas and boobs, which is not wrong about certain manga, I guess, but it definitely spans a lot of genres. It's a very different way of storytelling that I really enjoy, and I'm a nerd about it, and I really love manga. I've read manga for years. I've had a long career of reading things that other people were like, why are you reading that? Here's a guilty pleasure manga, I guess. There's this manga called Red River that I really like, but also I really hesitate to admit that I like it because the guilty pleasure part of this is that now I have to out myself to you about the stuff that I feel guilty about enjoying. Red River is a manga that follows this girl named Yuri who gets sucked back in time. She's been brought back to this era of ancient Egyptians, and she's kind of being like tracked down and hunted by this evil queen who wants to use her blood in a sacrifice, but she ends up encountering the prince. They sort of develop a romance over time that is just kind of like problematic because it's very much of like him not understanding that you can't just point at a woman and be like, you're mine, but you have to like get to know her and hopefully she likes you back and that kind of stuff. So there are definitely problems with it, and there is a lot of like people keep like kidnapping her because they think it's gonna get to the prince. There's a lot of weird like bad stuff that I don't like that happens, but I also can't deny that it's part of a series that I really do enjoy, because I think it's really cool to see all the like political stuff and the ways that she's really intelligent in proving who the bad guys are, and I don't want to give it away. Like, she's really smart in proving certain things that happen, because the queen keeps trying to like frame her for stuff or like set them up for bad things to happen. So it's really good. Like, I actually really like it. There definitely are problems with it that I don't make excuses for the problems, because they're problems, but I definitely still enjoy it, and I guess that's a guilty pleasure, so that's how I feel. Netflix, the series you want to start. Ooh, so I looked at some books that are on my, like on my wish list on my Overdrive app and on Goodreads and stuff, and I realized that there are so many books that I haven't read that I think most of BookTube has. Like, you know, there's that All Stars BookTube internet challenge thing that you're supposed to have like a big chart over here. I haven't read any of that. So yeah, I want to read V.E. Schwab. I haven't read any of V.E. Schwab's stuff at all. I really want to read A Darker Shade of Magic. I'd really like to read Strange the Dreamer, which is a duology, but I'd really like to read it. I know it's Darian's favorite. I would like to read Six of Crows. Other, I guess like Grishaverse stuff, because I really liked The Witch of Duva that I read by Leigh Bardugo, so I think I would like her other stuff. Oh, you know what? I would be really good if I read Harry Potter, because I've never read it. That would be good. Look, it's Harry Potter. I've never read this. Deep Clean, a book that's been on your TBR for ages. Okay, I actually pulled a few books out from my shelf because I realized that I've had them in my mind as something that like I have to get to, and I just haven't. So one of them is this book that I have a crush on called The Soul of an Octopus, and I think I just fell in love with octopuses because they're really cool. And also, if you read the first couple of pages, it does say, like, people keep saying octopi, but it's really octopuses. The correct plural is not octopi, as I had believed. It turns out you can't put a Latin ending, the I, on a word that's derived from Greek, such as octopus, so it's octopuses. Boom. I told my friend once that I was really excited to read this, and I think I probably implied that I had read it already somehow, and they were like, oh, it was so sad when this happened, and I was like, I haven't read it. Just because I've owned it for 9 years doesn't mean I've read it. Why would you think I've read... This I actually found at a book sale for like $1, and I was so ecstatic. I immediately bought it. I just picked it up and nobody could take it from my hands. I'm in love with this book even though I've never read it, and I'm just... Here's a book I've had on my TBR for a long time, and it's very physically hard to have on your TBR because it's heavy. And it's the complete Sherlock Holmes... I've had this for a really long time. I think I bought it at Barnes & Noble during one of those things where they would just like put leather binding. Is this leather? I don't know. They would put like really fancy binding on books, and not like the like fake leather that they have now at Barnes & Noble, but like this is sturdy. That 221. Oh, the aesthetic. This is nice, and yeah, and it's gold everything, and if you open it there's like that plaid hat feature of like, can't you just see me with Watson like solving crimes? It's nice, but look at the font. Look at how small this... Do you see how big my finger is? Look at that. It's so small and it's so heavy. Oh. I've definitely brought this with me on vacation several times and just been weighing down the luggage. Not like on a plane or anything, but just like in a tote bag or something. It's so heavy. Oof. But it feels like such an intelligent book. Like, can you imagine if I'm just sitting at a cafe all fancy and I like had this cracked open and I wasn't like on the first page, but like, ooh, I must be so worldly. I would like to read those, and I know I will someday, but it probably would require me to like slow down on the audiobook train, and my problem is that I just keep taking out books as soon as they're available. Or like, I fill up however many books I'm allowed to take out from my library at a time. So like an app can be like, you can have 4 books out at once on this app, and I'll just take 4 books out. Because you never know if someone else is going to take that book out. And then you won't have it when you want it. So I end up just in this endless cycle of taking out books and then not reading the ones I physically own, which is going to change because I just ordered a bunch of regular books, so I'm going to read them because I'm really excited. I'm rambling too much. Let's move on. Animal Crossing, a book you recently bought because of the hype. This is funny because I actually did not buy Animal Crossing for the hype. I'm actually thinking about maybe I will. This is a book tag. Let's talk about books. Oh, you know what? I bought a book that's been recommended to me by both Lou in Life and by Angela from Literature Science Alliance, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree. So that's coming soon-ish to my house, which would be really exciting because I know it's like a really big tome, so I'm going to be scared to read it, but the fantasy system is really well done, and also it's really cool. I think there's a sapphic romance, which I really want to read, so I think that'll be really cool, and I'm hyped. The next prompt is... what is it? The next prompt is Productivity, a book that had an impact on you. I guess I do actually kind of read a lot of like self-help type books and also some nonfiction books. And for me, if a book is really scientific, I'm probably really gonna like it. Here's a book. This is The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. And Gretchen Rubin writes a lot of self-help books that I really like. This one in particular is about how she sort of just woke up one day and realized, like, oh, I don't actually think I'm happy. Like, I'm living a okay life. I have privilege. I'm fine. But I'm not really happy every single day, and I kind of feel like I'm wasting my life. So over the course of a year, after doing a lot of research in preparation, she dedicates every month to a different tenant that she thinks would help to make her happier. So for instance, this could be something like energy. So she would try to work out more and clean her space and try to generally feel more energetic. So that way for the rest of the journey, she had the vigor to keep going. Or love, to cultivate relationships, both with her husband and with her children. I think some were related to work. Some were related to just like generally reaching your goals, your passions. And I mean, I'll tell you the truth, I haven't finished this book. I'm on like chapter 3. But you know what? I really appreciate passion projects, like dedicating yourself to self-improvement. And this book actually helped me realize that I also wasn't living my best life at the time, and I could be happier. So this book definitely encouraged me to be happier. And this book always just makes me happy every time I see it and pick it up. That it reminds me of I guess like my own change and becoming happier and becoming more confident. This book was also gifted to me by a friend in high school, and she said that it helped her a lot, so it means a lot to me and I really like it. Here's a book that I stole from somebody because I don't like them anymore, and it was lent to me by her, and now I don't talk to her anymore, so it's mine. This is a book called Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. And if you don't know who Richard Feynman is, he is this big fancy physicist that was very smart, but he didn't talk in the way that I guess like TV scientists do, where they're very eloquent or nerdy or whatever, but he has this like rough New York accent, so people didn't take him seriously, but they were like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he does. He basically has adventures his entire life. This is a true story. Like, these are all true things that he's done. He learned how to lucid dream. He was around for, like, the atomic bomb. He was, like, picking locks in people's offices. He would invent stuff in his room when he was a kid. He is an amazing guy. And I think this also was another big impact on me because he picked physics, right, as a career. And he was still able to have all of these adventures that were totally separate from physics. It taught me that I didn't have to pick one thing and be stuck with it my whole life. I guess if I pick something for a career, it's not like that's the only thing I can ever do with my life. I guess it was just a really big inspiration to think that I didn't have to be so singular, and that I could really be multifaceted in the kind of adventures that I have myself. And I really, really liked all of these stories and the way that they're written. And sometimes it does get a little bit cerebral, but I think that's actually something I prefer in books sometimes. So I also haven't finished this book, but I always do this thing where I'll pick up a book and I'm like, oh, I love this book so much, it's so good, and then I won't read it because I'm afraid that it'll end, because it will. That's how books work. So I'll put off finishing it, and I'll just keep starting over from the beginning and stopping and putting it down for a while and starting over from the beginning so that it never ends. That's not very smart. I know, as a human being who knows how books work, I could finish it, the last couple pages, and then start over, but I'm a fool. Facetime, a book that you were gifted. Ooh, okay. I love this book so much. This is such a funny book. This is Romeo and or Juliet, and this is given to me by my friend Clay. And this book is so funny. You start out and you pick if you want to play as Romeo or as Juliet. And there's like the original storyline that you can follow that just follows the story of Romeo and Juliet. Or you can choose your own adventure. It doesn't just say like, oh, maybe you both die in Juliet's bedroom instead of in the middle of a crypt somewhere. No, there's like robots, there's time travel, there's like actually like Back to the Futures in here, which I freaking love because it's one of my favorite movies. There are really funny pictures. There's a part where like you can play as Romeo and you could sneak into Juliet's castle because you're trying to, like win her over and like see her in secret. So it says, what do you want to like disguise yourself as? And you can like dress up as a maid and hide and dust some rooms, and it says, what do you want to do now? And if you just keep picking like, I want to dust a room, I want to dust a room, I want to dust a room, eventually it goes, okay, well, I guess you just get super old and keep dusting rooms, and then you just die a really old maid, really happy that you spent your life cleaning. The end! There are so many endings in this book. I don't know if it actually says how many there are. There's more than 100. They're awesome, and I love this book so much. And there's also like little comics in the middle as well. This is by Ryan North, and he has another book that is To Be or Not to Be. So that's the Hamlet version, which also is coming in the mail. I really love this book. It's really funny. I guess this is another one I haven't finished, but it's a choose your own adventure. I really recommend this book. This is so much fun. I love this book so much. Thank you so much, Clay. This is a treasure. Let's see. Self-care. What's one thing you've done recently to look after yourself? I only really figured out what self-care was last year around October, I think. I realized that self-care is not bath bombs and lighting candles and doing a face mask, but it's more about things that bring you peace and help you physically and emotionally. So that could be exercising or sleeping 8 hours a night or spending time with people and having a social connection and showing kindness and gratitude. And practicing those things has really made a big difference in my life. I would say sleeping has made a huge difference because I used to not sleep very much, and now I definitely sleep more. I do go for a lot of walks and spend time outside, which is really nice. I think like doing what I want to do, because sometimes I don't let myself do stuff that I actually want to. I do the things that I want to do because I think it's much easier to have more clarity when something like this whole thing is going on. Meditating actually has worked for me. I didn't really believe in it, but I tried it and it definitely calms me. And there are a lot of meditation apps or videos that you can look up. Those help me go to sleep. They help me stay calm when I feel stressed, help me feel kind of focused, help me like stop scrolling through my phone when I should be doing something. Yeah, I guess sleeping, meditation, walking, reading. I think some self-care is also like not feeling guilty about all of my guilty pleasures, or just like very unabashedly enjoying the things that I enjoy. I guess I don't do that very often. Like I kind of feel some sense of like I shouldn't be doing this. But if it makes me happy and it's not hurting anybody, then why can't I do it? Lastly is to name a book that's coming out soon. There's an author that I follow on Twitter that was talking about her book, and it's called A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. And it sounds really good. And it's inspired by West African folklore, where the grieving crown princess and desperate refugee find themselves on a collision course to murder each other. Oh, murder! Excellent. Despite their growing attraction. Oh, that's so funny. One of the characters has the same name as my boyfriend, so Yeah, I gotta read this now. This sounds really fun. I can't wait for this to come out. I think it's gonna be June 2nd. Yeah, I'm excited to read this. This is gonna be cool. So I am tagging 3 people. I'm gonna tag Tammy tries to read, who recently has come out with a lot of interesting videos with books of similar taste to me that I'm really excited to get to because I actually haven't read a lot of them. They're all on my TBR, but we have a lot in common, so I would check her out. Hi and welcome to Snapchat. I realized in the middle of the night last night at like 3 a.m. when I woke up in a sweat that I tagged somebody that already did this tag, which was dumb of me because I watched that video too. So I'm actually going to tag... Whoa! I will be tagging Ray from Whiskey on My Kindle because she has these like insanely entertaining videos that are just really funny, and she's a pretty small booktuber like me, so please check her out because she's honestly hilarious. And I don't know, I'm laughing every single time that I watch her videos, and they have great like repeatability value, so please go check her out. And as for Ray, you are tagged just like everybody else. So now I will jump back to the regular part of the video that has real makeup on, and that's why I'm using Snapchat, because I'm lazy. Bye! And lastly, I'm going to tag Darian from Darian Reads. Darian's been giving me a lot of love on her channel, and I'm returning the favor because I love her very much, and I would recommend to you, dear viewer, checking out her big haul video that recently came out because it just made my heart so happy to see all these books that she's excited to read about, that she's so excited to read these books that I'm also so excited to read, or books that made my heart feel some type of way because I love them. So I would definitely check out Darian. She's Canadian, did you know that? Sorry Darian, I'm outing you as Canadian, but hey, you are tagged, all 3 of you. You've been tagged. And to everybody else, stay home! I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was fun. If you stayed all the way to the end, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm wearing these polar bear slippers that I wear all the time around the house. That is my secret, Captain. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit please hit the thumbs up if you liked this video. And if you did, please subscribe because I have new content coming every single week. And I would love to see you back. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Let Me in the Library. I'm Rachel, and I'll see you next time.